of our schedule. Why is he? There we go. I think we're good. Are we live? Yes. Scoop, are you live?
I should be. I'm here.
On Instagram, I mean. Are you good or?
Let me take one gander. Yes, I am live.
Good. All right. We're all good. Joined by Brandon, Scoop, and Shane, and myself, Robert. We're just discussing the schedule because we have some sad stuff to talk about. And so I kind of just want to save that to the end of the show, do some more fun stuff, have Brandon and Scoop yell about the Eagles to begin, have Shane recap Sunday, and then we'll do some other sad stuff later. Normally we start Monday with Shane recapping his thoughts on Sunday, but Brandon and Scoop were screaming so much in the chat, I might as well let them scream on air first before we start. So, Brandon, you have the floor.
I wish I could scream, but it's late at night on the East Coast, and the second I walk in the door, and of course my grandfather doesn't hold his language back. So my grandfather, as I immediately come in the door, he's like, "This team looks fucking horrible." It's exactly what he said to me. he's like, "I love the defense," but he's like, "What the fuck is this offensive play calling? What is this?" And mind you, I had to work. I watched this game at work, but watching this game at work,
work was probably better.
Yes, it was. It was dead at work. It was completely dead silent at work. Like by the time that this game came on, there was no one there. So I'm sitting here watching this game. I'm not even getting pissed off because you know why? I'll get this out of the way first. Both defenses did a phenomenal job tonight.
Oh yeah,
both defenses were phenomenal. But the problem is the Packers' offense is completely depleted, and they're not that talented. Philadelphia's offense should be the best in the NFL, and it is not. It wasn't even close tonight. When you look at the overall, this is why box score watchers, these are why things don't matter. When you look at Jalen Hurts' overall game today, wasn't bad. Play calling was mostly the biggest issue, obviously. But
what else is new?
But also
that fourth down, dude. Oh my!
Before I get to that, you look at the yards. He had 183 yards passing, 1 touchdown. But here's the problem: those plays they came on back-to-back plays, and so that 100 of his yards came in 2 plays at the end of the game, pretty much. So, it wasn't a good night for either quarterback. It was windy. That had a lot to do with it. In Green Bay, that weather was brutal a little bit tonight. If I was giving out game balls, I feel bad because the numbers say that Saquon didn't have a good game, but he really did. Because he turned a lot of runs where he could have been stopped a yard before the line of scrimmage or at the line of scrimmage. He turned them into 2 or 3, 4-yard runs tonight. So, but that's also what happens when your offensive line is missing 3 guys, and those 3 guys just don't block. So that was a problem.
And for a period of time, there was a 4th one out tonight.
Yeah. Listen, Devontae Smith is still awesome. Devontae Smith is still it's funny. He only had I think 3 catches tonight, but I think it was always 80 yards and a touchdown. He was really good tonight. So, and he was open a little bit more, but there were just times where I'm watching these play calls, and this is where I'm going to start losing my mind. I'm watching the play calls, especially at some points in this game where there's 2nd and 2, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1. You have Saquon Barkley. I know the running game hasn't been great, but those are the downs where you need to run the ball. You cannot be throwing the football there. You can't do that, especially when you've shown all night that you can't throw the ball that you can't get in rhythm as an offense. The biggest problem I'm having with this Eagles offense is if they're not calling stupid 3-5 yard out routes or RPOs to where Jalen will pull the ball back and just flip it to Dallas Goedert for a 6-7 yard gain. If they're not calling those 2 plays,
no, stop saying 6 and 7 in a game. We did it 5 times yesterday.
Well, listen, I can say because it's true. That's basically what
Yes.
those plays
We
go
need
for.
we need to relax on
But
it.
Somewhere
again,
between 5 and 8.
yeah,
Are you
pretty
guys
much.
Gen Alpha now, or what's going on here?
No,
Pretty
but
much.
it's just we're
What
getting
Um,
the
back.
hell is Gen
It's in
Alpha?
my head all
it's
the
the gen,
damn
The
time.
generation after
it's
us.
it's the generation
Oh.
after us. So it's all the kids that are pretty much younger than us, like in their teens and
Like
preteens.
12 and
Yeah.
under, basically.
But yeah, but like you're getting like so like, if they're not running that flip play pretty much to Dallas Goddard on an RPO, or if they're not running like a stupid 3-5 yard out route for for that's going to be not going to get you much yardage, it's just a deep shot. It's like, but if there's no deep shot available, you have to like this offense has to change. I've been begging for weeks now. Please call more slants. Please call more in breaking routes. Please
Please
use
just
more.
call it regular offense.
Like
It's not regular. It's
there's no
stupid.
there's no reason why every pass play should be going to the sideline. I don't think we completed more than 2 passes over the middle of the field today. Everything was to the sideline. Why is it to the sideline? Like those plays don't get you anything. They can work if you use it correctly, if you mix it up within other plays like you should do in a normal offense. But if your only offensive passing plays are plays to the sideline, you're not going to move the ball. You're just not. And they didn't do that tonight. So like you get to that, that's already a bad. So that play calling pisses me off. And then you get a chance to ice the game. Okay, you don't get the first down. I expected that, whatever. But you kill as much clock as possible. You get to that 4th and 6. Why would you ever go for it on 4th and 6 to try and end that game? You have to be the dumbest human being. Well, Sirianni pretty much is. You have to be the dumbest human being on planet Earth to throw the ball from the 40-yard line. Mind you, it's not like you're going for it on 4th and 6 in like the red zone and you want to just try to score to end the game. No, you went for it from your own 40 or from the opponent's 40 to try and ice the game, and you're throwing basically your patented deep ball to AJ Brown to end it. But
and he was double covered anyway.
He was double covered, and the thing is, you hadn't had a deep shot open all night except for that Devontae Smith touchdown. That was it. That was the only one you had open. Other than that, it was never open. So I don't understand why. First of all, why you're going for it on 4th and 6, and second of all, if you absolutely have to go for it on 4th and 6, why is it that play when they know that that's exactly who you're going to try to ice the game? Why? Like, it's too predictable. The play calling is too stupid. It's not even acceptable for a high school level offense. And Shane said this a couple weeks ago, and it's true. It's not acceptable for a team with this much talent. This can't be happening like this. If you play like this the rest of the season, you're not even going to get close to Super Bowl. The Lions next week might as well just run you out of your own building if you're going to play like this next week. So, I mean, I know the conditions weren't great. I know it was cold. I know it was very windy. I know all that. But that's where you have to tailor the offense to the environment you're playing in. It has to change. You can't run your. And the thing is,
oh my God, Shane's bringing out the whiteboard. Oh no.
I'm glad that I'm inspiring him with this.
It's to prove Brandon's point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's you had a bye week. You have a bye week. Plus, you had technically an extra day off because you're playing on Monday Night Football. So you had so much time off. You come out of the bye week. Now, listen, the Eagles usually win coming out of the bye week, so they did win tonight, so okay, fine. But it's the way in which you won. That game should never have been that close. And the thing is, technically, when you think about it, they dominated the Packers in term even offensively. The Packers couldn't move the ball offensively to save their life. So honestly, the thing is, your one Hurts fumble, which was not even his fault. It was just a good defensive play. But your one Hurts fumble and you're pretty much a couple bad plays on the opponent's side of the field from maybe this game being 20-7 final score, maybe 20-10, something that's a little more respectable. But listen, at the end of the day, we won. I mean, listen, the thing is, I just don't like wins like this scare me. Because this just doesn't show me that you did anything in the bye week. That you're just content in running the offense back the way it was. Like, you're supposed to make adjustments in the bye week, not do the same thing or get worse. tonight you can argue was probably the worst game they've played all season, at least offensively. So, and definitely in terms of play calling, I don't know what Kevin Tula was doing in the bye week, but he must have had his finger up his nose while the other guys are practicing because that was ridiculous. So, but I will one guy I'll shout out tonight, Jalen Phillips, best trade deadline acquisition the Eagles have had in years. So I can't say enough. He basically won the damn game. He got a fumble recovery. He forced the fumble basically to win the game, more or less. He had what, it was like 6-7 tackles. Pause again. You're welcome.
With this.
But he did. That's how many tackles. I think he had roughly about that. So he was the hero tonight. Pretty much, it was him and Devontae Smith. Those two guys did their jobs. Everybody else, please don't show up like that again next week. And please, for next week, don't go for it on 4th and 6 if you don't have to. Pin them deep and make them go 90 yards. Please. You're better off.
Scoop, what are Pringle's thoughts on the game since I see Pringle's hanging out next to you?
If I could read this cat's mind, I oh my God, don't even get me started on that. But so when it came to, well, I mean, obviously I agree with a lot of what Brandon said, but I also want to look at this I also want to add another vantage point to that 4th and 6 controversy. This team, meaning the Packers, they weren't bringing out Blair Walsh to kick this thing. This was Brandon McManus, who has made a good number of kicks from a significant distance. So,
well, he also has a groin injury, and it's windy.
Yeah, but my point just being is, like, if you're gonna have somebody take a chance if you're as the Eagles, if you're gonna let somebody have a chance at a long field goal, I'm not sure Brandon McManus is the one I'd want to take my chances with allowing him to have that.
Yeah, regardless, 100%.
So that was my take, one of my takes there. But no, similarly, and I was watching, and you know what I said. I was watching the game with you, but there was one time early, I think it was like the second quarter, where they had, I want to say it was 3rd and 12 or 3rd and 14, and they basically just punted on it. Like, they didn't actually punt, but they basically punted on it. And
they do this every week, by the way, and it's so nauseating.
Well, the next thing I was going to say is, for a team that we're complaining about going for it too much on 4th down, they have an inordinate tendency to also, like, just mail it in on 3rd down, which is a bizarre combination of tendencies to have. When you're so comfortable going for it on 4th down, but you get to 3rd and somewhat long, and you're just like, oh, we'll do it next time. I'm like, how the hell does that go together? How the hell do those play off of one another? That makes such little sense to me. At least when you have a Dan Campbell, at least he's aggressive with consistency. It's so at least there's some sense of an identity and some sense of a formula there that they go off of. And for the people who, I couldn't tell who it was tonight because, quite frankly, Troy Aikman, and I like Troy Aikman. I'm not saying this is an Eagles fan because I like Troy Aikman, but Troy Aikman and Joe Buck, I swear, one of them was just making a comment, and then the other one was saying the same exact thing. There was absolutely
the case for both of them throughout the entire year, though. It's kind of been a consistent thing.
I found it particularly noticeable tonight. Maybe I just was listening closer because it was a Philly game. But
it's been the case for weeks. It's been the case for weeks. I'll tell you this right now.
But that was driving me absolutely freaking nuts. And excuse me, sorry. I'm trying to remember where I was going with that. But just the fact that I was, I was watching them do this whole back and forth, and then there was something that one of them said that I remember what it was. I couldn't tell which one of them was doing it, but one of them, I swear, if I took a shot every time someone used the word analytics, I wouldn't be on this show right now because I'd be at Mississippi State Hospital.
It's because
And
ESPN analytics is like a big thing for them, and they
no,
have to drive it.
but it wasn't about the ESPN analytics specifically. It was literally just using the phrase like as a buzzword, and it was driving me insane because I promise you, as somebody who literally one of the jobs that I did that I have done starting this year is I one of my positions is literally doing football analytics. I promise you, there was not a football analytics, an actual like form of football analytics that people utilize on a regular basis, whether it's PFF or EPA or RBSDM, whatever it is. There was not one that was telling them to do that dumb shit. It was just it was their own decision making. It was not this sort of football version of sabermetrics or whatever. Because I promise you, any model that they had, if it was somewhat reputable, was telling them to punt in that situation too. And
Yeah, on the fourth down, you mean?
yeah, going back to the fourth
Yeah.
down.
Yes.
But I watched this game and it's like, and so many times I was just thinking to myself, like I was eating chicken wings tonight, and I left so much less meat on the bone than this offense did, because just because the amount of times that I was just thinking that this drive we didn't score and we should have at least come away with three, or we got three but we should have come away with, or we were in position to get three but we should have been in position to get seven. Like this game should not have been a 10-7 game. And I actually didn't see when they scored the touchdown. I had to step away from the TV, but this game should not have been that close, like Brandon said. But it's excuse me. But I will say this from an objective, like we're just looking at it from a football fan standpoint. I was grateful to see a 10-7 style game that was genuine good defense by both teams, rather than just both offenses looking horrendously out of sync. I am so damn tired of seeing. I don't mean a lateral pass here, but I mean passes thrown in a lateral, position where you're either even losing 2 or 3 yards or at most gaining 1 or 2. So damn sick and tired of that. I'm so damn sick and tired of, excuse me, for whatever godforsaken reason, they are going for pass plays up the sideline on 3 and 2, but they're trying to run it on 2nd and 19. I don't know what the hell ass backwards mentality that is, but if you went up against somebody on Madden and they did that, you would probably rage quit because this guy doesn't know what the hell they're doing. And I was so it just and it was so bizarre because for a couple weeks it kind of looked like maybe this thing was finding its rhythm. Maybe either I don't know if it was Jalen, getting his hands more on things. I don't know if it was Nick kind of reeling in the reins from Patullo. I don't know if it was Patullo just having a stroke. I don't know what it was, but I just could not figure out what it was. But I was
How can you have a stroke? Why did I
I
just
don't
have
know.
that?
To be fair, I don't know how Patullo does anything. I don't know how Patullo does anything he does, to be honest. But I was just, and today, unfortunately, back to the cynicism that I had, up to 2 or 3 weeks ago, because I'm frustrated, and and it's like Brandon and I keep saying, it takes a lot to frustrate fans of a team that has 8 wins on the season. But it's because we see the fact that with the way that these games are won, and again, the quote goes, it's not how, it's how many. But when you win these games and you're winning them consistently with similar criticism, similar critiques, similar flaws, week to week, you realize now again, Green Bay's a good team. This is not like we're saying, we barely beat. Excuse me, like we're saying we barely beat. I can't think of a random bad team.
Like the Titans.
The Titans, sure. This isn't, but again, you're going to have to go up against teams like Green Bay in the postseason.
Yep.
You're going to have to go up. You're going to have to go up against teams of that caliber. You're going up against a team next week in Detroit that's probably going to be one of the final teams fighting you for the top seed, and you can't. The concern that you start having if you see this enough times, whether it's against top teams are not, is if you're making the same mistake multiple times now, what's going to give me confidence that you're not going to keep making that same mistake in January? Because you make it's in the regular season, you make that mistake one or two times in the same game. You just you work on it and you come back next week. There's no working on it and coming back next week if you make the same mistake once or twice in January. And they should know this because they just won the damn Super Bowl and because they were in it 2 years before.
That's easily the worst. Not from Fangio, even though I hated how Fangio kind of played those last couple minutes, but that's easily the worst coached game, as far as I can remember, for our lifetimes. That's easily the worst coached game in Eagles history by any Eagles head coach or offensive coordinator by far. That game. If you like, you're lucky. You're lucky the defense balled out, because honestly, that game is a fireable offense for both the head coach and OC. That game is an absolute fireable offense.
Yeah,
and you're lucky. You're lucky the defense held it down. So,
all right, Shane, what do you got on that whiteboard for us?
Sorry.
No, go ahead, finish up, Scoop.
No, yeah. The only last thing that I was going to say is, and it once again, and I've probably said this after 5 Eagles games this year. There's two very, and I don't know which is the correct way to take it. There's two ways that this game can be, there's two things you can take away from this game that compete against one another. One is what I just said with all the mistakes and the fact that, if we can't trust you to not make them now, how do we trust you to not make them in January? On the flip side, I can look at it as, wow, this team really screwed up that badly and was still able to beat a team like Green Bay in Green Bay. So the optimistic side of me obviously wants to believe that that's the case, but the cynical side of me has seen this happen too damn many times this year. And, unfortunately, Jalen Phillips, as far as I'm aware, is not Bugs Bunny and can't play every position. So,
all right, Shane, show us what you got on the whiteboard there for us.
Okay. Sorry. So, something we see often with... Wait, what did I do? Okay, yeah. So, like, this is... Let me just scoot it over here. This is why Philly's game plan failed against Green Bay.
oh my gosh, this is really detailed.
If you look at...
That's why it's a whiteboard segment.
Yeah. Strap in, folks. So
I don't know what a single one of these letters means.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Okay.
We'll get there.
Brandon, Robert, what's Q?
Quarterback.
that's easy. Yeah, quarterback.
H.
Halfback.
Halfback.
Yep.
Okay.
Z.
That's your one, isn't it? That's your wide receiver 1.
Well, usually you're 2.
2.
Okay. Two.
X is your 1.
Okay,
Z is your
yeah.
2.
F's your tight
F.
end. I remember that.
Nope.
Oh
No, it's usually Y, isn't it?
Y is the tight end. Yep.
Okay. Why? My bad.
F
Is F your slot?
It's your slot.
bingo, or fullback, or second tight end, whatever.
Yep.
Okay.
The square is the center, and those are the linemen. So this was a play. I may be remembering it incorrectly, but I'm fairly certain I saw Philly run this play at one point tonight.
Either way, it's a model of what they do, regardless.
Right. So
This is already a Madden play, by the way. This is a Madden play. This is how you know that our offense sucks.
Right. So I see Green Bay in this defensive coverage a lot. It's called a 3-3-5. You got 3 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, the Tiger, the Warrior, and the Mike. And then you have 5 DBs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So you might be thinking, well, what's the problem here? Well, Philly, if you look at all these routes, all of them, except for the Z, are to the sideline.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do that, you have the Tiger, which is essentially the weak side linebacker. They line him out really wide to the point where you don't know if he's going to rush it's backwards. If he's you don't know if he's going to rush or if he's going to
Or
drop
drop.
back
Yeah.
in coverage in the flats, in the hook curl. So what ends up happening is, like the nickel, for instance, maybe let's say he's on man on F. Okay. And then now you've got 1, 2, 3 guys who are in this congested sideline area. What's going to happen there? Nothing. Okay. And then if you come to the other side, the Z, okay, well, maybe we'll have him on the post. Well, no, because now your rover safety, which is the safety on the strong side of the.
And by the way, that would be Devontae running that post route, which is what we saw
Pretty much,
most
yeah.
of the day today.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, and Devontae is the Eagles' Z. So, yes. And so, in this case, a lot of times you would see the rover, which I believe would be. Is that McKinney? No. McKinney's the free safety. Evan Williams is the rover.
Yeah.
So you'll see him take once he, hits the brake and goes deep. Well, that's right in his area. And then, okay, well, let's hit the tight end on the out route. Nope.
Nope, that corner's
corner's
there.
right there.
Yep.
And if the corner's not there, the Mike might be there, or the Warrior might drop in coverage. So if you're trying to go to the sideline, there's nothing you can do. However, look at all this wide open space right in here.
Why do you think I said that we don't run anything off the middle? Because
Gee, I don't know.
Gee.
Or this wide open space.
Or the drag route over the middle of the field.
Yeah,
right here.
I can't.
Just a
This
thought.
is basic offense. What the hell?
Wait, can I ask you a question?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Okay, Brandon, correct me if I'm wrong. I swear, wasn't it like 2 years? It was in I think it was in January. Wasn't there like 2 years ago? There was like a graphic that someone took a picture of from an Eagles game, and they made a mark of just that, where there was nothing over the.
Yeah, and
This
guess
was
what?
last season.
I think
was
I still
last
have
season.
it. I sent it to Rob. I think I still have it in my
You know what
phone.
I'm talking about, though.
I'm
Yeah.
positive it's somewhere in our chat or something.
But
Again, that's the thing, right? This is basic football.
But that's my point. Is just that this has been several years now that this is the same damn problem.
It's really weird though, because it's like. Go ahead, Brandon.
I was gonna say the only thing that made it worthwhile last year was Kellen Moore pounded the run, but then he also knew that when they had to throw the ball, he knew that at least you need to put at least one guy, doesn't matter if it's the tight end, the slot, whoever, over the middle of the field.
Yeah,
you have to. So at least he understood that.
And he knows how to incorporate motion and switches and not switches.
And once again, we saw a lot of just fake ball. I call it fake motion tonight. That was nothing. It was just a nothing burger. It was a guy going into motion and coming back across the line of scrimmage just to do nothing. Pretty much.
Yeah, and then when you've got the guy on him, then they're going to identify automatically that if it's man or not,
Yep.
and then
Yeah.
So here's this play, new and improved by me.
Please, ROC.
Look at
So-
this.
Now we have, the top 5 running back in football, Saquon Barkley. actually doing something.
Texas route.
Right. So we got the slot running a slant. Okay. So
I wish we did that.
now, right, he is going to have to choose between the H and the F. You can't guard them both because
And again, Saquon in open field. If you get it to Saquon there.
Right, because chances are Rover's going to be up here on Z, and then Free is going to be playing here because he sees the 2 outside guys going deep.
And you're also making those safeties choose which route to cover, to drop to the middle or cover deep.
So why is still out because he's still going to run into this traffic over here. But you're forcing Mike into a tough situation. Do I choose this guy or this guy underneath? So then really because at this point, when the nickel sees him breaking off, if they're in zone, he's going to say, okay, well, he's yours now, to the mic. But then you got the halfback who is, doing his thing. So the other thing you could do is you could run a seam from F. So just doing like that.
It's almost like a skinny post.
Yeah, which I don't like that as much, but I mean, it could work if you're trying to go for one of these two.
Yeah,
but
because you know what I was thinking? Because if you try to throw that route, there's going to be two guys converging in the deep middle.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And okay, so I have a couple things. One, with the Packers, this was something they were trying to do. They were trying to go in the middle, but their receivers would always collide. Like there was one play where they literally collided into each other, essentially.
That's what happens when you're down to like your third and fourth string wide receivers.
And the Packers have the opposite problem. So the Philly's trying to play on the outside, at the sideline. Green Bay's trying to play between the hashes too much. So, which is not a good game plan against Philly with their particular defensive personnel and whatnot. So
yeah,
these two teams just mirrored each other tonight. That's basically what it was.
Yeah. And then I know I've been thinking about this for the last few weeks, but I thought about it very heavily watching the game today. And please help me if I'm wrong. I realized a Philly Eagles offensive tell that kind of started to fester in my mind, and I think it's true.
Noticeable.
When Will Shipley's in the game, it's a run play, and they get nothing because everyone knows it's a run.
They did use him in a couple passing plays though.
A couple, but especially that's the thing. When Saquon's clearly on the sideline in like second or third and long, it's always Shipley in there, and it's like, they're gonna just run it. Yeah,
that's another problem. That's another problem I have with the offense. Saquon Barkley is the guy. Like
he's not on the field as much as he should be, and it's really annoying.
It's really annoying. There's no real because the thing is they're using him in rundowns, and it's almost like this coaching staff because they see that he can't get anything on the run, so they're just taking him out of the game completely. But this is a guy where if you give him open field and you hit him on a check down and he makes one man miss, he's gone.
Which he did today,
he had success as a receiving back earlier this season.
He's had success as a receiving back his whole career.
I know, but I was just
but it's just frustrating when they take him off the field, especially there was times they took him off the field on 2nd and 4, and they have Will Shipley out there. I like Shipley, but 2nd and 4, 2nd and short,
put Tank in there. Get someone more physical out there. You don't want to put Saquon out there.
Even leave Tank in there because Tank at least can push the pile. But when you're bringing, I don't get why Will Shipley got as many touches as he did tonight. That made no sense. Listen, I like him. He's a good change pace guy. Or if one guy goes down, but he should not be in that game as much as he was tonight. And Tank also got a few. I like Tank too, but Tank is a running back too. He shouldn't be splitting carries with Saquon. He should be getting maybe Saquon should be getting over 20 carries, and I think an overall 25 to 30 touches, and Tank should be getting maybe 10, maybe. So it's even today, just looking at this, Tank had 3 carries, Shipley had 4. I don't know why, and Barkley had 22. I'm okay with Barkley having 22. 20 to 25 is fine for me.
But again, it wasn't in big moments. It wasn't in big third downs.
But then that's another problem too. You're also setting him up for failure when 1st and 10 you're throwing the ball incomplete. 2nd and 10 you're running the ball. You're making it obvious you're running the ball because you're tipping your hand still. And now he's getting a yard or two, and now it's 3rd and long, and now you're giving up because you're just going to run the ball again because you have no play that can get you 10 yards, apparently. Like, it makes no sense. They did it all game. And I'm like, guys, if you just ran the ball 2 straight times and you got a first down off of it, then okay, so you move the chains. That 3rd play on 1st and 10 should be another fucking run. It should be another run. It shouldn't be a pass. It should be a run. Because you got to keep pounding the defense and wearing them down, and they have to prove they can stop it.
I was just gonna say, make them prove that they can
make them work for it.
Yeah,
like you can't. The thing is, because then so then like and it interrupts the flow of a drive. That there was times today where I'm watching them get down the field, and this is why the game. This is why at times they would get over the 50-yard line. It would look like a good drive for the first 20, 30 yards, and then all of a sudden it would stall out. Because the game plan to get to the 50 was fine. All of a sudden they get over the 50. They have no fucking clue what they're doing offensively. It's like they have no clue. It's like their brain short circuits. Like there's no reason to go away or abandon from what you were doing that got you halfway down the field. Like good teams don't make these mistakes like this over and over and over. Like, and it happened the entire game. It happened every week up until the Minnesota game. It happened, and then you look at that Minnesota and that Giants game. They finally looked good again offensively for the most part, and then I'm like, okay, after the bye week, they're going to show us something. They're going to be well rested. They'll be healthy. It's the healthiest roster they've had all season, and you come out and do that, and it looked like week 1 all over again. I'm like, guys, what are we doing out there? What are you doing? Like, Shane just showed us a play that is, I mean, not guaranteed, but it's a damn near foolproof play that's going to work because somebody is going to be open. Somebody. And the thing is,
Thank you.
Like, my God, can you please put the OC job up on Indeed? Please.
Have Shane apply for it.
Apply to it, please.
Scoop, do you have any final thoughts on the Eagles before we quickly talk about Green Bay?
I mean, if I were to share all my thoughts, we would still be here on Thursday. But But again, it comes back to what I said earlier, and what Brandon and I keep saying, and what Shane contributed. Like it's there's nothing that I can say that hasn't already been said. It's the issues have
and hasn't already been said for weeks, by the way.
Yeah, the issues that concerned all of us made themselves apparent again tonight in one way or another, and I can say with almost 100% confidence that Kevin Patullo is going to get the end of the season. I see absolutely nothing that's going to get him moved off of during season.
Also, if there's one thing I have to say tonight, and we kind of said it about AJ Brown before, but this is true. Now, usually commentators will not call a player out for lack of effort, but this is another game where AJ Brown has showed lack of effort. It's another one where you are not helping, because Aikman, I do actually remember this. Someone actually reminded me about this on Instagram. I just saw a comment, not a reply to me, but a comment that said, because someone said, please get AJ involved. Someone else just said, Aikman called him out. He doesn't do much to make separation. When Jalen's scrambling and running for his life, he doesn't try to be available. At least Shipley and Devontae do. And it's true. You ever see a scramble drill after a play is broken, and you ever realize why Jalen's always throwing the ball to Devontae Smith? Because Devontae Smith works his way back to the football. It makes sense. He's trying to get himself open, which he does with both his speed and his footwork. AJ Brown, if he can't out physical the guy off the line of scrimmage, he's not going to be open. So it's I've kind of noticed that too now. Now this is like the 3rd or 4th game this year where he's shown lack of effort. I'm kind of getting fed up with his crap at this point too.
You and me both, and it's because, and it's frustrating because, well, I mean, it's frustrating for myriad reasons, but it's frustrating because for the longest time we heard all that crap where it was, there's a problem in the locker room. He's causing drama, one thing or another. And, teammates came to his defense. He obviously, spoke up and tried to quiet things or whatever. You're not doing anything to help yourself or the team when you're out there dicking around like that, and when you're not putting forth, what's that quote from? I think it's Babe Ruth. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he is probably one of the top 3 or 4 most talented receivers in the NFC.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's even one of the 3 or 4 most hard-working, high-motor guys on this team right now. And it's if it's not a detriment to the offense, it's certainly failing to be an asset to the offense. And it's just I for a while I was not of the mindset that because again with what they've signed him to. I mean, Brandon, you figured this out. What is it? We're basically stuck with him financially for what 2-3 years?
I think 3 or even 3 or 4, basically the length of his extension. I think.
Yeah. So
a while.
Yeah.
So and from whatever's going on in his brain, because I don't know what circuit's lining up with what, but for whatever's going on in his brain, how does he think that performing like this or lack of performance like this is going to be good for anybody? It's definitely not good for the team. If he's trying to force his way out of there, he's not going to help himself by playing like this. If he's trying
and again,
to go
he
somewhere,
can't get traded until the offseason because the trade deadline's over with.
but I was saying even before this, if you're trying to get yourself to another team, do you think another team's going to trust you more when they see it's like James Harden 2.0? Do you think that another team's going to trust you more when they see you acting like this? Mm-hmm. Moreover, do you think you're going to get just as much of a chance to win? You may be a number 1 receiver on another team, on the Raiders, on a team that doesn't have a snowball chance in hell of even beginning to play football in January. So if that's what you're interested in because you've already gotten your ring,
that's the best part. Is that if he tries to ask for a trade, Howie Roseman's not stupid. He's going to send you to Siberia if you keep acting like a dipshit. So
Siberia's going to be the only one who wants him. That's not going to be Howie Roseman's fault. What other team? We've seen what happens when Odell Beckham gets traded. We've seen what happens when these diva receivers on big contracts get traded. At some point, teams are just going to stop taking the chance. And you have no one to blame
usually.
And you have no one to blame but your damn self.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, moving on to Green Bay. Shane, what are you noticing from Jordan Love? Because he missed so many wide open receivers today. He just looks anxious in the pocket. What are you noticing?
I notice he's a gunslinger in an era that is no longer the Wild West.
What
did I say last night? What did I say last night?
You said damn near the exact same thing.
Yep.
Yeah. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I see a lot of Brett Favre in him," which
you shouldn't want that. Not
which I agree. I also see a lot of Brett Favre in him. But that's not the NFL today. This is teams don't want that kind of guy anymore. Especially somebody like Matt LaFleur, who is he comes from the Shanahan McVay tree, and that's a philosophy that's very much more like, okay, let's stick to the basics. Just, go through your reads, your progressions, and do what you're supposed to. Not, let's take big chances. And, there's some guys in the league that, where that kind of thing still works, like Tampa they still kind of have that style of offense. The more, and like the Dan Campbells of the world, I think you can get away with a little more of that there. Um, but yeah, I'm not out on Love by any means. I think he's incredibly talented, and I do think when he's hot, I mean his ceiling is high. Like
We're getting close to see Odathon.
I was just gonna say it. If you didn't say it, I was gonna say it. We're getting close.
I mean, I think at his best, he is capable of being a top 7 or 8 quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
The caveat there, at his best. I don't think we've seen that guy really all year. I mean, we saw it quite a bit, in the second half of his first season. We'd see it here and there last year, but I feel like this year we haven't really seen that. And I think, I don't know what it is exactly. I mean, he definitely seems uncomfortable in the pocket, like you were saying, and I just don't know if Matt LaFleur is a great fit for someone like him. I'm trying to think of like where else he would work better.
Shanahan, maybe?
No,
No.
because Shanahan's the godfather of this whole West Coast.
Did you guys see how pissed Matt LaFleur was at Jordan Love missing some of these throws today?
He missed one of the most obvious throws of the season.
Pissed.
Like, it
He
was bad.
pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, the thing is with Jordan Love, like, he has a lot of natural talent, but his mechanics are terrible.
Yeah. I was gonna say that too. Yep.
It's sort of like Peyton Manning in a way. Like Peyton Manning was so naturally gifted, and just not only with his arm but also between the ears. So he could get away with having a little bit of rusty mechanics. When you're thrown to Demaryius Thomas, rest in peace. Wes Welker, all these other guys in Denver, or back to Indy. I mean, it was Marvin Harrison, and so on and so forth.
Guys with wide catch radiuses.
Right. It's if you're as smart as he is, you can get away with that a little bit. But I mean, Jordan Love is thrown to Christian Watson and Romeo Dobbs. I mean, no offense to those guys, but they're not they're not DT or whoever else. So yeah, it's I don't know. It just, I think ultimately to me, it just feels like a little bit of a coach player mismatch. I mean, there are other spots where I think he could work. I just have to think about it. It's hard for me to do on the spot, but
No, that's okay.
You know what?
I have a question. If
Yeah.
he were to get, he just got fired about an hour ago, but if he were to get a new head coaching job, do you think Dable is a fit for him?
Yeah, I would.
Dable needs to get a new head coaching job. We've talked about this for months. The Giants ran him to the ground.
Ironically, I think Kevin O'Connell in his own division would be a great fit for him.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Let's see what else.
He basically needs a quarterback whisperer. So yeah, like a KOC.
Yeah,
Cliff,
but I mean, not just
if he gets a head coaching job, maybe a
Kip King,
Kingsbury.
Jesus,
Yeah, that one.
Kingsbury.
Yeah, I could see that.
Is he gonna
Yeah,
get another head coaching job? Oh my god.
No, he's a good because he's already. I mean, as an OC in Washington, he's fine.
Um,
I don't think he should personally.
Yeah, I don't think he should. Yeah, because I mean, when he did, he got exposed.
Yeah, I think he's a great coordinator, but
yeah.
yeah.
Scoop, any other Packers thoughts?
No.
No, there we go. I will say that every week I'm getting more and more out on the Packers. I mean, I think we pretty much said that we were out on them last week.
Yeah, but the thing is, like,
It's just, I'm getting more and more out.
Especially in the NFC North.
Yeah.
Yes.
Division's crazy.
I would have. Now, if they would have beat us, I think even if they would.
That's how I felt. It was
Like-
gonna largely depend on how they looked tonight.
Like the thing is, even if they beat us tonight, let's say they would have scored that last 2 minutes, they scored a touchdown to win it. Even if they beat us 14-10, I still don't think they're better than Philadelphia, and I still
That
don't
would I would have taken that more as an indictment against us than a positive for them.
I look at Green Bay and I go, and even Aikman said this on the broadcast tonight, this is why not having Tucker Kraft hurts, but this is why I've said all year, if they can't get Josh Jacobs going, they have to get Tucker Kraft involved. Well, now there's no Tucker Kraft at all, so they have nothing. I think Green Bay's done, period. They can't win. You're not going to win a Super Bowl because honestly that's their goal because they've been in the playoffs so often the last few years.
Right.
You're not going to win a Super Bowl with this roster. This roster can't win it. You don't have any receivers. You have nothing there. And I've said it for years. Christian Watson's a bum. I don't like him at all. I don't think Dobbs is any good. He gets hurt like every other game. Wicks has
Golden's also been hurt.
Yeah, Wicks has stone hands. Like so what do you really have there? There's nothing there. Like, I'm not excusing Jordan Love. Jordan Love still played like ass tonight. But at the same time, like I look at Jordan Love, and to me, him and Justin Herbert are the same exact quarterback. They're the same quarterback. They're both happy feet gunslingers who, regardless if they have talent around them or not, I don't think they're good enough to win anything. I don't. I think they're okay. I think they can at least get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
But that's it.
I mean, I do think Herbert has better pocket awareness.
Yeah, a little bit.
And I would say Jordan Love comes up clutch more or better than
Yeah,
Herbert.
I would agree with that.
But otherwise, yeah.
And like what I saw a lot tonight too is like anytime, and this isn't even like pressure wise. Anytime that pocket even started to collapse on him, he just started you could see the panic in him.
Yeah, immediate panic.
Anytime the line got pushed back into him at all, it was just panic mode. It was like I've never seen that out of a quarterback that often in a game. Where it was like every time the line even got pushed back into him slightly, he had no idea where he was going with the ball. Or if he did, it wasn't accurate. So it was weird. It was a weird game. Well, I mean, it was a good defensive game, though. At least that came out of it. It was a 10-7 game, but at least it was a good defensive game. So
yeah,
and I don't care for the middle of Green Bay's offensive line.
Oh yeah, we ran straight through them all night. Yeah.
Any thoughts on the Brian Dable firing? I mean, we kind of knew this was coming anyway. We kind of knew this was coming before the season.
They fired the wrong guy. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I still think he's going to get a head coaching job next year.
Real quick before we go on, I just saw something with the new AJ Brown comment just dropped.
Oh Jesus, go.
Well, not really a comment, but this basically I'm paraphrasing. AJ Brown went on to say that the defense was throwing a lot at him and that he wasn't tripping much over his targets tonight. They were able to get a tough win against a good Packers team. So, but wait, the Packers defense was throwing a lot at you and you didn't adjust? AJ Brown? Didn't adjust.
Everything is always somebody else's fault with this guy.
Yeah.
Yes, this is very
It's
true.
pissing me off.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Scoop. Continue on, Dable.
Okay. So what I will say is, from an objective standpoint, I think that he may have been the one with the fourth most blame deserved for the way that the Giants have gone over recent times. I think Shane Bowen deserves more than him. I think that the fact that they already have said that Joe Shane's going to get a chance to pick the coach
He's gonna
is
stay.
Oh,
Are you kidding me?
is music to my ears as an Eagles fan, but as an as an objective, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, how on earth are you like it looks like they have learned nothing from I forget his predecessor's name.
I don't
but
think it matters for this point. Go on.
but the guy from, I think it was Tennessee, but whoever it is, it looks like they've learned nothing, and it's how does the saying go? It's not it's nothing to make a mistake. It's you shouldn't make the same mistake multiple times and not learn from it, and that looks like what they're doing. It really does, and and I don't know who has control in the ownership group over what. I don't know what's under Mara. I don't know what's under Tish. I don't know I don't know who has what control over what. But the fact that you're like, this guy already was in a lot of hot water for the way that he handled some of the offensive personnel a couple years ago in the drafting. He was under hot water again with Hard Knocks and the Saquon Barkley situation. And now this situation has gotten to the point where they're going to make this and which, by the way, let me mention this again as a point that I've hammered no fewer than 10 times with different teams. Add another one on the ticker for a quarterback that within his first 20 games is going to have a second head coach and a second OC in all likelihood.
Yep. Yeah. 100%.
How do teams not yet get the memo that is actively stunting development of a quarterback in almost every case? I get that running an NFL team. I get that coaching an NFL team. I get that developing or finding and developing an NFL quarterback is not an exact science and is extremely difficult. But if you have certain things that, analytically speaking, are more likely to lead towards success or more likely to inhibit success, you might want to heed those trends once in a while. For God's sake, I don't understand what it is about certain organizations that just makes them think that they are so different or immune to the things that have either worked or not worked for so many other different organizations. I don't have faith in them to get this coaching hire right. I actually made a joke thinking that it was that Shane Bowen was going to become the new head coach, which it ended up being Kafka, which may God have mercy on his soul. But there was, but I just time and again, I have been completely confounded by the way that this organization runs themselves, and I don't know. They haven't said what they're going to be looking for in a new head coach, but once again, we're going to have a young quarterback within his first 20 games, learning a second head coach, a second offensive coordinator, and and coming back next year with hopefully a fully healthy Malik Neighbors and hopefully a fully healthy Scott Cut.
Oh
Cam
no!
Scott.
Oh
Why
no!
what is with this damn name that I keep screwing me up?
Oh,
Cam
my.
Cam Scatterbo.
Thank
There
you.
we go.
Oh my God! Finally, and
Anyway.
by the way, I will also add a hopefully healthy Jackson Dart because he's putting himself in a lot of bad situations.
Well, and that was the last player that I was going to mention is this is already somebody who's had what 3 either concussions or concussion scares.
Yeah.
Like
I think it's been 4 actually. I think it's 4.
4
At this, yeah.
behind an O line that is a far cry from where I think they would desire it to be. I am known to not be a fan of Brian Dable, but I think that he definitely is a better coach than he got a chance to show in New York. I think that like I said about Daniel Jones, I think that his lack of success was largely a victim of circumstance, or at least to a significant degree was such. And I fully believe he's going to be one of the next former head coaches to get a second job. I'm hope for his sake that it's somewhere with a little bit more stability and capacity for him to actually show what he can or cannot do as a head coach. Because I don't think that he was or is a great head coach, but I certainly think that he was limited by his surroundings with the Giants. And I think so much of just the way that today was handled, I think shows and exemplifies and puts on full display for everybody around that they've learned not a damn thing.
Brandon?
So, how we talk about how, teams will, especially bad teams in the draft, will draft a quarterback when they have bigger issues, like, overall. So, in this case, and they stick these quarterbacks into the fire and they want them to play well, but there's no shot in hell they're going to do that because the team is just so bad. But to me, it's the same thing with Brian Dable, where you stuck him in a bad situation. You gave him nothing to work with for most of his tenure in New York, and then you expect him to try to win with that? Like Jesus turned water into wine. Brian Dable is not Jesus. Brian Dable is not it would take a Herculean effort and then some to fix the damn Giants. Now, like, what I don't understand is with this whole thing, like, I don't see with Dable, I wouldn't, if he's gonna get another job, I don't think I'd want him as a head coach. Offensive coordinator, though, I think I would. Offensive coordinator is where he shined in Buffalo and turned Josh Allen into a star.
I mean, I would imagine, considering what jobs we think would potentially be open, I would imagine OC, he'll probably look to that more so.
Yeah, because I just don't know if he should be. He just doesn't strike me as a head coach kind of guy. He strikes me as he'd be better.
I don't think he is best fit for a head coaching job. I will say, from what I know about him, I do believe that he is going to try and get another head coaching job.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think he'll get one this next year.
Yeah. I don't think there's a job that fits him in this cycle.
Yeah, because I mean, who's going to be open? Pretty much.
Cincy, Tennessee, or not Cincy? Maybe Cincy, Cleveland for sure. Tennessee.
Yeah. You don't want to put him in Cleveland.
Back up. Cleveland for sure. You're that convinced they're moving off Stefanski?
They're going to do it because they're stupid. That's what they're going to do. They're going to do it because they're dumb. Not because they should. It's because they're stupid.
Yeah,
I'll take him as OC in Philadelphia.
Yeah, really. Now I'm with you. I was really confused. I thought you were saying that they should, and I was like,
no.
Okay, yeah, I got
you. Yeah, Tennessee. I'm trying to think what else.
It's gonna be
maybe the Cowboys.
But it's going to be a lot of the bad teams. Well, no, the Cowboys' offense. The Cowboys' offense can. The problem is their defense.
The problem is their defense.
The Cowboys' offense is fine.
There's gonna be a lot of bad jobs open.
Typically the jobs. Typically there's a reason why these jobs become open.
Or if you're a Super Bowl team and you get poached like we do every year. So
yeah. The one thing I will say is all the Giants fans hipping and hollering for Brian Dable to be fired. as Scoop said, the fact that your GM's there should concern the hell
Yeah.
out of you.
You
Because
can't-
I just don't understand, why are you so excited about your head coach getting fired when your awful GM is going to be there next year? It's actually stupid.
Didn't we not say this last year that you couldn't fire one without the other? You have to fire both.
In this case, they should have fired both at the beginning of the year if they knew it was
Yeah.
going to be this bad.
Yeah.
But no, they should have fired. They should have fired Joe Shane the minute Saquon walked out the door.
Yeah.
And
2 years back.
if they were gonna fire one, I would argue you should have fired Joe Shane before you should have fired Brian Dable.
Oh, 100%.
And I'm saying that as not a Daybell fan at all.
Yeah. All right, Shane. What is your stuff from Sunday that you noticed?
Well, did Buffalo not know where the game was or something? I mean, jeez, what was that? Let's see, what else was there?
Donald Trump at the Commanders game was hilarious. I opened
Yeah,
the
that
show
was
with that yesterday.
that was funny. That was very funny.
That was bizarre. It's all bizarros. That's not even a word.
Yeah, let's see. Ravens maybe having some life again. Is it too little, too late? Maybe, maybe not.
Not with how Pittsburgh plays.
not with Baltimore's schedule. They have an insanely easy schedule.
Yeah.
And it's also the AFC North. The AFC North is really never fully locked up by almost anybody.
It never is.
It's not. I mean, for crying out loud, there was a brief moment where it looked like Cleveland even had a freaking shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask a dumb question before Shane
No.
continues?
As they say on the Golden Girls, better than anyone I know.
This is a very dumb question because I know what the answer is. I just wanna float it out there.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Let's say, for instance, Joe Burrow comes back in Week 13. Do we think on Thanksgiving? If that is the case, because of how weird this division is, does Cincy actually have a shot to win the division?
No.
I don't think so either. But I'm just wondering.
Because that defense is dog shit.
Can I give you? I hope I'm wrong, but can I tell you what I honestly think?
Yes.
I think if he comes back that quickly, I think it's more likely than not he gets hurt again before the end of the season.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I would say that as well. I think coming back in Thanksgiving is crazy. But all right, at least it helps that Thanksgiving night game if that's the case. Not that game wasn't interesting with Joe Flacco because it still pretty much is. Anyway, Shane, continue.
Yeah. Let's see.
Excuse me.
Who's your number one team? Who's your number one team in the NFC West? I asked the boys that question yesterday.
Oh, come on, with the bias.
I'm very curious what he's going to say.
I mean, to be fair, Rob's a Seahawk fan too, and he was.
We all took the
fair.
Rams yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because Robert secretly hates the Seahawks. He's a terrorist. But
my freaking hat came off.
Yeah, I don't know.
You have to choose one.
I can see the turmoil. I can see the wheels spinning.
You have two options.
No, I realize that.
Hey, they are playing on Sunday, so that's gonna
Right. I was gonna say, can I answer that question in 6 days?
No, I'm asking you now.
I think for right now, if they're playing on a neutral site,
nobody plays on a neutral site.
I know. I'm saying if they were. I think I would take Seattle just by that much. because
Okay.
I knew
No.
it.
I thought you were
and,
going to say
and
the
I'm
opposite. I thought you were going to say that Seattle they would win because 12th man.
Yeah.
I mean, yes.
no, um, because to me Seattle is just I think Seattle is bigger, stronger, more physical, faster. Um, I mean, looking at the Rams' offensive line, which on the left side is not particularly great, and I mean, Seattle has like 5 or 6 good pass rushers. I think they are going to be able to shut down the run game and make Stafford very uncomfortable. Um, especially if their secondary is mostly healthy. Um, I just think the matchups are a bit of a mismatch. Mismatch.
We all can't speak.
Um,
It's fine.
Yeah, now you sound like me.
yeah. Um, whereas on the other side, I think the problem is these teams are extremely similar,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I would agree. I would agree with
where
that.
they
Mhm.
both have offensive lines that are okay but not great, and they both have pretty dominant front sevens, and they both have a wide receiver who's just playing off his rocker. Um, and they both just kind of have like okay run games, you know, um, not bad, but nothing special. I think the difference for me is uh, is in the secondary. I mean, that's really the one area where there's a big difference in talent, and the edge there to me goes to Seattle. Um, so I think I would take them, although I mean, it's anybody's guess what happens this Sunday. I feel like they will split their series this year. I mean, they usually do. Um, so yeah, but either way, I think at the moment they are both they are I think the 2 best teams in the NFC right now. Um, and I think Detroit and Philly are like right behind them. Um, that's just me, but so I'm very excited for that game. I think it'll be cool. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yep.
that's my general thought.
Anything else on Sunday that you want to hit?
I mean, last few weeks Houston's defense has started to look pretty good. But unfortunately, their offense is on life support. Um, otherwise, yeah, I mean, things mostly went as expected. Um, with Tampa, another 1-score game.
That is true. Yeah.
That's just their style, man. But yeah. No, otherwise, that's about it.
Okay. So now we get to the sad part of the show. I'm trying to find this thing on Paul Tagliabue, who who unfortunately passed away, the NFL commissioner. Um, there was something in specific they said on 9/11 that I seem to have not saved. But I remember he was very good on 9/11 for the NFL, saying, "Hey, let's not play games. Let's let people mourn." And I think he said something very staunch that I can't remember specifically, but it was very interesting to kind of hear that aspect of it, where he navigated the league through that with a lot of respect and a lot of humility. That was very, very good to see, and also just something that I was very like just was kind of surprised by in terms of remembering, but also in the best way. So rest in peace to Paul Tagliabue. And then we've been waiting to talk about Marshawn Kneeland for a while, just so we have the whole crew together to talk about him. For me, it hits home a lot harder just because I went through a lot of depression and suicidal thoughts. I mean, hell, I called the suicide hotline something over 20 times in that period. So again, I highly encourage anyone who is going through it to seek any help possible. And I believe it's 988. That's the number. I think I still
That's
have it
correct.
saved on my phone.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So I would encourage anyone to go there. As someone with experience with the hotline, they are amazing. They're some of the most bravest people you can imagine
Mm-hmm.
because of the amount of calls that they get. I would still wildly encourage that. Yeah, that one was really tough. I mean, you never know what someone's going through, especially. I mean, hell, he recovered a fumble the day before his death on Monday Night Football. The tributes were really special for him. Obviously, seeing Micah Parsons, Dak, who also lost his brother to suicide as well. Um, it's tough, man. It really is, and obviously the Cowboys are on bye. I'm sure they're going to have something amazing next week for him, or whenever they have their next home game. Which I don't know if they're home against the Rays. I don't think they are. Anyway, it's really sad, really heartbreaking for a guy who I really like too. Just had a really good career ahead of him, really good life ahead of him, and it was just really, really sad to see. Scoop, any thoughts on Tagliabue and Nealand?
For Taliabu, I think the first thing that I would say with him is just, if you're an NFL fan and have been an NFL fan for any extended period of time, you likely, at least in some capacity, know some of the history of what he did for the league,
Mm-hmm.
what he meant both for the league as a whole and for different micro areas of the league, and just the immense respect. Like, it's very easy for us as fans to be super critical, or whatever the case may be, of commissioners, and say, "Oh, this guy's the worst," or this, that, or the other. He had a lot of influence on not just the middle of the league, or not the, I'm sorry, not just the pure football part of the league, but on their expansion efforts, the beginning of bringing the game internationally, the NFL in Europe. He was really at the head of that with starting the World League of American Football back in the early 90s. He was at the epicenter of the league's response and efforts following the attacks in 2001 in New York.
Yeah. Do you mind if I read this quote for Tagliabue before you continue on? Because I actually just found it. So he told Julie Bautista in 2021 on his call to postpone games after 9/11. Here's his quote: "Are we caving into terrorists in a way that reflects weakness and gives them victory? Or are we doing the right thing and taking time to heal?" Really great quote by Tagliabue. Continue, Scoop.
Absolutely. I would also mention that he was very involved with the New Orleans Saints with the Hurricane Katrina catastrophe in 2005. Was excuse me, sorry. He was also very involved when the state of Arizona was the only state for the NFL that had refused to honor MLK Jr., and he was heavily involved in that controversy. So just a lot of different things that both affect not only the game on the field, but the connection to culture off of it. And you can there's ways to nitpick the culture, or not the culture, the career and the legacy of every commissioner of every sport going back the since the dawn of time. But it's not hard. It's impossible to tell the story of the modern day NFL success and influence on America and U.S. culture and everything without talking about Paul Taliabu as one of the most influential people in what has been created. And so for all he did for the great NFL and for this great game, obviously extremely grateful to him and sending our condolences and prayers to so many people that he touched in and out of the game. And then going over to Marshawn Kneeland, I mean, Brandon remembers this directly. We were on WTS the other day, and that was, I think, the first time you ever saw me actually shaken up, not being able to actually get a damn coherent thought out. Because I was just like, how the hell do you talk about something like this?
Mm-hmm.
This guy's younger than me and was in a situation where, and this is why I talk about this sometimes, and I'm gonna mention it again. This is why I really hope if people still think this whole oh well, he had everything or he had all the money or this that or the other. If you still need to be convinced that money doesn't buy happiness, this guy just had one of the biggest plays for the Dallas friggin' Cowboys. This guy was probably living the dream of however many hundreds of thousands of people. That no amount of money in your hand can penetrate the wall between your ears. It just can't. And it's heartbreaking and gut wrenching to me that there's people out there who believe that that's their only way to achieve peace or to achieve escape from that daily fight that they did not sign up for and that they do not deserve. And, like you said, I'm grateful you mentioned 988. I also, without going into too much detail, I want to acknowledge and appreciate your willingness to share a little bit of your, story just then. And extremely grateful that you're, able to share that with us and know that, for everybody on this panel who has treated me like a brother for ever since, Brandon first introduced me to y'all. I'm so grateful that there are the resources out there now, and I strongly encourage people to, whether it's to reach out to them, to reach out to, if you can, a family member, a brother, and I really want to direct this to guys in particular, because I feel like, for some reason, I feel like guys, I think we still have more we can do in terms of reaching out to one another, and not just encouraging people to reach out for support, but also being that support when possible.
Yeah, of course.
And
that's been one of my biggest things in kind of moving forward past my fight with depression is
mhm,
I even if I just met you on the street, talk to
yeah,
me. Talk to me because I've been through it
yeah,
and I want to help people who go through
right,
it because
yeah,
it's excuse me, it's fucking awful.
it is. And I've been somebody who I've watched it happen to people close to me, and people. I feel like I hear it every time I hear that somebody had this happen. I feel like I always hear you would have never thought it was them, or you could have never. It's almost always going to be the people you least expect.
Yeah.
Almost always.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And just because someone's good at wearing a smile every day, oftentimes those people are the people who are trying to reflect the light to everybody else because they can't feel it themselves.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
And that's all I'm going to really say there. But just horrendously sad for his loved ones, for his whole community in Dallas, and I pray that the people that have been around him. I hope that if there's anything that this can do, it's that it allows there to be one fewer person that this happens to down the road. If there's ever a way that someone's legacy could potentially, live on, I hope that it potentially, lets someone else believe that they don't have to feel like this is their only option.
Yeah. Shane, go ahead on Tagliabue and Nealand.
Yeah. Well, I I mean, yeah, I guess I wasn't a big fan of the NFL yet, like during his era.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time, I didn't really understand the scope of what he did, but now in hindsight, as I look back, it's like, oh, you know, and there's sort of almost a, kind of a hindsight, like, oh, well, that's, gratitude for all that, and yeah, and I mean, I think in large part the game when it was at its best was in many ways due to him. So,
Mm-hmm.
so hats off for that. And, yeah, and then as for the other, I mean,
Yeah, it's for Nealand.
yeah, that wasn't a good thing to wake up to that day. I mean,
No, not at all.
we like to, being the fans of the teams we are, we like to crap on the Cowboys or the Niners or whoever,
It's a weekly theme on this show, particularly with the Cowboys.
Yeah. But there are some things like injuries and like the Pringles cameo.
Yes.
But there are some things like injuries and like this, especially where it's much bigger than the game and our division rivals and whatever. This is a tragic thing that happened. There's no other way to put it, and yeah, it's just when you, like you guys were saying, you think, oh, he's living a dream and whatever. Yet there's still a lot of celebrities and just wealthy people in general who are still struggling, with depression or anxiety or whatever it may be, right? It's it doesn't it doesn't absolve you from all that, and a lot of times you wouldn't know. I mean, look at Robin Williams, for instance, right? I mean, he seemed like a very jolly guy, and it's like, then when he passed, I mean, you heard it, I was like, what, really? But yeah, I think in general, it's just it's very important to have a community of people you can lean on, no matter how big or small said community is. Whether it's family or your buddies or um, you know your pastor, whoever, right? Um, and just I mean, there's been plenty of times where Robert's called me and been like, "Hey, I'm not doing too well right now," and
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god,
yeah,
Brandon
and we
knows it
just
too. I
Yeah.
freaking called him for hours about shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah, and then we just hang out and do whatever BS, take our minds off it, and it's not everything's fine after that, but it's like okay,
It helps.
it will be fine.
It
It will
helps.
be fine,
Yeah.
and vice versa. I've hit him up and you guys, and like
Yeah.
Yeah.
and just with issues and whatever, and um, and it's not a weakness to do that.
Yeah.
It's not demasculating or whatever.
No.
It's human.
It's actually
Right.
very strong, I would say, in most cases.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it feels like it's vulnerable, but then when you realize that other people care about you and want you to be doing well, you feel kind of silly. It's like, why was I worried about this?
Mhm.
About feeling this way. Um, and so I say all that because if you're somebody who is trying to go through it alone, if you're having if you're having your own struggles, um, you should not do it alone. That's
No. Hell no.
that is foolish. You cannot carry that burden all by yourself.
I will say this too. In my experience, it took a long time because I remember I went to inpatient care. Like
Yeah.
you got to try medication, which I'm on now. Like you got to try every avenue that you can. Like you have to exhaust it in so many different ways.
Right.
It's really important to do so.
Yeah. And being open to all that stuff. I mean, bye, Scoop.
No.
I was, yeah, I mean, for a long, probably like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, after I started to kind of notice like my signs of OCD, um, I was in my head, I was like, I'm fine, like just very stubborn about it. And the doctor was like, well, you should try this medication for it. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that, and then finally I was just like, all right, screw it. And then it was like, it helped a lot. So, um,
Yeah.
all I'm saying there is like, don't be stubborn about it. If there's people that have suggestions, things that'll work, just try it. Okay.
Yeah.
Or be open to trying it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately just, having community. I mean, we talked about this a lot last week when we when we watched Her. How important it is to be connected to others. Quite literally for our survival, like for our physical and mental well-being. So, So
Yeah.
yeah, that's my thoughts on that. And,
Yeah. Yeah. Before Brandon goes, I mean, I always have memories of like being in like an outpatient hospital during COVID and stuff, and just some people it was so bad that they were like getting wheeled on like stretchers and stuff because it was so bad. Like
yeah,
actually were trying to hurt themselves. Like it's really eye opening, honestly, and it hurts the heart, it hurts the soul. But Brandon, what are your thoughts on Nealand and Tagliabue?
You know, when you have a well, with Tagliabue first and foremost, you know, we always talk about this, and you know, you see this in even commercials nowadays. But like, but we as sports fans and us even as you know, basically, I guess we can call ourselves podcasters, commentators, whatever you want to call us.
Yeah.
Um, you know, we know that sports has the power to both cause us to go into fits of rage and
Yeah.
well, me every week with Philadelphia,
Yes.
or and it also has the power to heal. It has the power to kind of like make change. Sports has the power to do that more so, I think, than anything else in this country, in the world. You know, sports is always kind of that thing with that. Sports is like people always say, "Oh, well, it's just a game," but when you realize how much sports really does do, it it's much more than just a game. And when you're talking about somebody like Paul Tagliabue, you know what the things that he did to pretty much usher the game into it, and really not just the game, but to usher almost society as a whole, to wake people up to, like, you know, with the whole controversy with MLK in Arizona, and how, you know, and to keep the Saints in New Orleans after that tragedy of Hurricane Katrina. Those are things that are much bigger than just a game that he fought for, and it it's brought us kind of into a modern era. You know, now you know, those kind of forward thinking things that he took a stand on brought us to kind of where we are today. Like,
You can't imagine New Orleans without the Saints. Can you
yeah,
imagine if they were in like San Antonio or something? How
no,
weird that would be.
it doesn't seem right. It just doesn't seem right. And not for nothing, but him fighting to keep the Saints pretty much in New Orleans, and to, you know, okay, so we never would have seen the you know, Steve Gleason play the blocked punt. That never would have happened had they moved to San Antonio. And then by extension, you know, now people remember Steve Gleason for that play, but also now it's because of that play and what's happened afterwards with him, with what he's gone through. It's like now you understand, like it's just, it really is more than a game. So what Paul Tagliabue did for the sport of football, and to kind of move it into a more modern era than where it was when he first got it, when he got that job, is incredible. And for that, you know, we can't be more thankful. I mean, hell, I mean, honestly, by some small little, you know, extension, we probably wouldn't be here if he didn't do half the things he did to kind of propel the NFL forward. So, you know, that's a pretty strong man to do stuff like that, and then his memory for that, you know, is gonna live on for a very long time. You know, obviously we were born when he was still commissioner, but we don't remember him as commissioner. Um, but I definitely think that, you know, someone like that, you know, you have to understand your history to know where you're going, and you can't talk about NFL history without talking about him. You know, there's other commissioners that might get brought up and whatnot. But when you're thinking about who was like the first modern commissioner of the NFL, who was the first one to really make progressive changes and things like that, it's Paul Tagliabue, and that's that's a good legacy to leave behind, and what he left behind was something special. So it's a shame that he's no longer here, obviously, but you know, but the life that he lived was well worth it. You know, he lived a full life. That's for sure. Um, so And I mean, there was other things he was involved with away from football that were just as memorable. But but when it comes to us being on football pod talking about the NFL, the NFL is something that has to get mentioned. And then as far as the kneeling thing, um, you know, Scoop and I did talk about that on WTS, and it was hard to do that show because that was kind of what we opened the show with, I believe, and it was still so raw at the time because it was like we got that news, I think, like the day of the show.
Props for Scoop for opening with that, because that's tough to open with. But
Yeah,
I mean, it was the biggest news of the day.
yeah, it was
Props on
hard.
that.
It was hard to kind of go off of that, and we made it work. But if you listen to like the tone in our voices, like during that show, and then not only were we tired because it was a little bit late, but it was also just we just didn't know how to follow it, like without seeming like it was too like the tone was too jarring in the show. But so when it comes to something like that, the and I think I said this to Scoop too, but this is somebody who was a year younger than us. This guy, 24 years old. When I couldn't fathom, there's so many younger people too. I mean, everybody goes through this, but there's so many young people that are even younger than that feel like they have no way out, I guess, or that's the only way out from the hardships and just the mental issues they might go through. And it's and like everybody has said tonight so far, it's like you really aren't alone. I tell people this too all the time. Everybody's geez, you two know, Scoop knows, my family knows. I talk nonstop until people fall asleep on me. Um, but there's a lot of things that go through my mind, not bad things, but things that might bother me. Like it's not just the kind of the suicide awareness and stuff like that. It's not like the depression, and then those are important things, but people don't realize that you can spiral into that if you don't let out the things that are on your mind, even if it's
Yeah,
not
100%.
so like like when I talk to people, and I always tell people, hey, like I'll hear you out on anything pretty much, because I know what it's like to keep kind of things bottled in and not let them out, and then explode when they finally do come out. So it's like it's just having some people there to talk. I remember this. I remember one time I had just a pretty bad day in school. It was back in high school, and I I was talking to one of my friends at the time, and it was a female friend, and I'll never forget that she said the words to me that I was like, are you really my friend with you saying this? But she said the words to me. She's like, well, have you ever tried? And I wasn't even going on and on and on like that. I was just explaining like just kind of how crappy the day went, and it was like she's like, oh, hey, have you ever tried therapy? She's like, and she basically said something to the effect of like, like I'm your friend, but I'm not your therapist. I'm like, I'm not asking you to be my therapist. I'm asking you to be my friend and hear me out. And
By the way, I hate when people say that.
yeah,
It's not. I mean, people can say that, sure, but you have to say it with context. You
yeah,
can't just
like
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between. It's not like the friend is asking you for advice and how to. It's just like I just need you to listen,
yeah.
just listen.
get
to
it
what I have
out.
to-
You know.
That's
Just let me talk.
And I've
Yeah.
heard people over the years just in normal conversations. I've seen people say like, "Oh yeah, if you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here to listen." But then when I talk, or I hear somebody else talk to them, it's like then they don't want to hear it. It's like, but then what good are you? You can't go back on what you just said. If
Yeah.
if you're truly there for somebody who you claim to care about, act like it. Like
Yeah.
it's
The
it's
the
not
stuff
hard.
that's hard with it, and I've understood it. Like the thing that is really frustrating with depression, and as Shane has mentioned with his OCD, this is true because I've experienced it. And I've been on both sides of it. Like the toughest thing is the stubbornness of it, because you're so, and it's not a negative. It is in a way, but not entirely. It's like you're just so stuck thinking everything is so bad, and it's like you want help, but you're also like, it's a long process. Like it takes years to get to that point because you're stuck in this loop,
Yeah.
right?
And I mean,
And from a friend's point of view, that is really hard because like, oh my god, this guy's stuck in this loop. But what I realize is like, damn, that happens a lot. You just gotta stick with people like that because that's
but
tough.
yeah, because you know what it is too is like when you deal with stuff like that, by you saying something like that, it's like basically being stubborn and ignoring the person that's trying to confide things in you, that's trying to talk to you, like you're just hurting them more, and you don't even realize it. Like, you
Yeah,
know, it's so it's like, you know, when it comes to something like what you know with the Dallas Cowboys and the Neil and stuff, and it's like, you know, this was something where, you know, we'll never know exactly what he was going through, but it's just when you have to go through things, you know, like it's it's so important to kind of have, and like we've all said tonight, it's so important to have somebody or even just something to turn to you know ease your mind, put you at ease, to take your kind of stress away for that moment. And you know, obviously you know, the worst part is like having dealing with something mental like that, you know, suicidal thoughts and depression is like when you deal with that, it's not something, and obviously it's not something you can see, and it's not something that can be like diagnosed easily because everybody's different. Like you can
mm-hmm.
diagnose a broken arm, you can diagnose, you know, God forbid, cancer. You can't exactly pinpoint the root cause or something, or diagnose mental health issues. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's not black and white, and it's, you know, and especially since humans are very complex organisms, but it's it's just when you see somebody like that, and you think that, hey, they, you know, like Scuba saying, you know, you think they have it all, but you know, it's funny how you can even you always hear this all the time, especially with celebrities too. Like, why do you think so many celebrities also, like, there's a lot of them that do enjoy the spotlight, obviously, and they're very controversial, but there's also ones that don't enjoy the spotlight, and they feel lonely, they feel alienated because of their fame, rather than you know, kind of feeling like everybody's, you know, that everybody's kind of, you know, with them instead of being against them. So it's it's kind of like, you know, it's something like that where you look at his case and you're like, you know, could he have gone through something like that? You know, it's possible. Could it be something else? We don't know, but whatever it was, it shouldn't have come to that kind of ending. And it's very hard to deal with, you know, any kind of, like, you know, you especially, and I've obviously I feel for the Cowboys. I feel for his family. You know, that's someone's son, that's someone's brother, that's somebody's, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, but the one I really do feel, probably, I shouldn't say the most because everybody kind of feels differently, but everybody kind of processes it differently. But I feel for his girlfriend because I think they said that she was the last one he had talked to. Like,
Yeah.
it was very recent, right? And they had like a kind of like a strained kind of argument, whatever it was, and then that was it. So like,
And they
you
Yeah,
know,
that's painful.
and you know what's funny, and what's funny is, well, not funny, but what's weird is I was telling Scoop this too, like, you know, like when, you know, when my dad had passed. Now, it wasn't anything mental health related, but when my dad had passed, I was the last person in my family to talk to him. I had talked to him 2 or 3 hours before he had the accident that killed him, and I I remember, I still remember the conversation me and my dad had to this day, and this is over 8 years now. This is 8.5 years, and I still remember where I was. I still remember what time it was. I still remember everything. So it's like I just can't imagine how she would be feeling because
Mm-hmm.
I believe they said that she had she had tried to get people to kind of do like a wellness check on him before in the past. I think they said that she had reached out to like the police to be like, hey, I'm afraid that he might do something. And that's the scary thing is when you don't know, kind of, when you're in a situation you don't really know the best way to help, and you feel like you can't help, and
Yeah.
and you can see,
Those
yeah,
don't be afraid to call a wellness check on someone who's really, really bad.
yeah,
Don't be afraid
like,
to do it. It can be helpful.
yeah,
I've had that happen to me. Well, not like my parents did it, but it can be helpful. It
yeah,
really
but
can.
it's like it's it's just like, thank God that we live in a modern society where when and it's not even that long ago, back in the 50s, 60s, 60 years ago, if people, if you had mental health issues or people called you crazy, they sent you off to an insane asylum and you were treated worse.
Yeah,
So like,
I've seen
so
footage
like,
of that. It's freaky.
so like, thank God that we kind of understand a lot more about it now than we did then. Because I can only imagine how scary it must have been back then to deal with stuff like that. I mean, it's still scary for anybody, but I'm saying like the medicine's different, the technology's different, the way we understand things is different. Um, it's just it's it's really hard to think that someone, you know on that kind of platform, like we're saying, with the fame and stuff like that, could feel that way. But it does happen a lot. And like we were saying, Robin Williams was the prime example of that. And it's just it really is tough. It's really tough to deal with something like that. I mean, for anybody, but it's really tough to be in a position like his girlfriend or his family or the team, and honestly, think about how hard it hits Dak, because he didn't just lose he loses a teammate now, but he just lost his brother not too long ago
Yeah.
to the same thing. So it's like that takes your and we understand, one thing that we understand a lot about is that death is a part of life, but it's the unnatural or just untimely deaths that you will never understand. Like,
It's the guys like Tagliabue or I'm trying to remember her name, the one from Loyola Chicago, whose Sister Jean, who passed away at like
yeah,
100. It's those who it's like, well, it's sad, but damn, they lived a life.
yeah, yeah,
They lived a life
but it's like
that meant, yeah.
most of the people that you see go through like this kind of stuff, most of them go early. They go before the age of 50. So like it happens more so on the younger side of the spectrum, and that's what's scary, is like, it's just something that's unnatural, like that. Like, nobody should have to go through that. No, nobody should have to think that that's the only way they can achieve peace. And it's really hard to just, I mean, there's even days, where I remember like my mom calling me, I was 2 weeks into my college, my stay in college, and I was 18, but I just gotten over a bad breakup like 3 months before. I just got my license the month before college started. I My dad had passed a year, was that a year and a half before that. Like, I was still getting over a lot of things. We're still trying to process a lot of things, and I couldn't keep up with the early speed at which college had hit me with everything. And I felt like I was drowning. And I felt like, I remember my mom called me, and the thing is, a lot of people don't realize this, but I told Scoop about this the other day on the phone. I actually had a talk with Scoop on the phone for hours, talking about how I, not me being, super upset, like, to that point, mentally, but like, just the things that had bothered me, or pissed me off or made me feel down, things I thought about that happened, 4, 5, 6 years ago. And I and it was things that still pop up in my mind every now and then that I kind of hold on to. And I remember I told Scoop, I said there were, in school, in college, especially being at a commuter school where you didn't really, people didn't dorm, so you didn't really get to make friends that easily.
There's no community at a commuter school. They try
There's
to make it seem that way, but there's none.
there's none.
There is if you're involved in the right groups.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was at a community school my first 2 years. I was in the funk band and I was in the film club, and so I was tight with all them.
Yeah.
But had I not had that and I just went to class, would have been totally isolating.
Yeah.
Like, but that's exactly like, it was even hard because even it was hard because even when I tried to get involved into things, especially in our field in journalism, people didn't make me feel that welcome. It still felt very cold in the end. It's like when I try to get involved in things, I'm like these kids, because you're still really, I mean, even though you're not a kid legally, you're still a kid society wise, age wise. These other kids, they it's like I felt very alienated because none of them were like me. They were way different from me, like and not in like a good way, like not like where it's like everybody's different and that's cool. We can all kind of get along. They were different as in like they were very cliquish. They were very like just I guess arrogant. They were very like my shit doesn't stink, and I didn't want to be involved with those people. I mean, it's true, So like that bothered me. So there was a lot of times both before COVID in college and after COVID. And that's another thing too. COVID also ruined half our college tenure because it killed sophomore year and junior year.
Yeah, it killed everything. Yeah.
So like, I ate when I was at the school, it killed a lot of my self-esteem. I constantly felt like I wasn't good enough, and like what's actually, I mean this is a little bit graphic, but I'm gonna wash it down the best I can. I remember my freshman year, right before Christmas break. This kid was a senior. I forget what his name was. Senior, had a girlfriend. I didn't know the guy, but I remember coming out of class one day, and I heard an ambulance or two fly right down the school road. Once you get past the main gates and you fly right down the school road to go to the parking. Ambulance flew. I've never seen an ambulance fly that fast down the road. Flew. And I didn't hear anything like that, but it happened probably about an hour before I got out of class. So obviously the ambulance, maybe not an hour, maybe a half hour, because the ambulance came by fast. And I was like, what's going on? And I just got in my car and left thinking, oh, maybe something just happened to a teacher, or maybe a fight on campus. Or maybe just a kid that drank too much, something like that. Come to find out, when I got home that night, this senior kid who was literally gonna go home for pretty much, was getting towards the second half of his senior year, basically gonna finish out, get a degree, all that kind of stuff. This kid had mental health issues. He threw himself off the top of the parking deck onto the ground.
Oh my god!
And they, I forget. I can find the article when we get off this thing, because it's crazy. I was there that day when it happened. And it and the thing is, like, even for me, I spent a lot of lunches, like on my break in between classes. I spent a lot of my lunches sitting alone in my car, eating lunch and listening to music. That was what I did. Like, I didn't make friends. I didn't have really many people I could turn to. Scoop was one of them at Seton Hall. I had maybe one or two other friends, but everybody else kind of just came and went. It was like they were here today, gone tomorrow. It was like, okay, see ya. But I always say that between my high school experience at the end of that and my college experience through all of that, through COVID and all the kind of loneliness I felt, that, but I always had other family to turn to. I had my family here to turn to. I had my childhood friends who I've been friends with since I was 5, 6, 7 years old. I've had, and then obviously when I got to the end of college, I didn't have an internship. When I got the internship senior year, that's how I met you two. So, that's literally like, when I think about all the people around me that made me feel better, or that, a sense of community, things like that, they're Scoop.
There we go.
But That's what I'm saying. That's why we're saying as a whole, it's so important to have people around you that let you know that they care. Because when you don't have that, or when you feel like you don't have that, it's easy for you to spiral, and it's easy for your brain to go down that dark path. And so in this case, with the whole Nealon story and then Dallas, it's like, you can be. I mean, honestly, is that what he was feeling? We'll never know. But like, I can't imagine feeling that alone because I felt it for a very short time, not enough to go that far. But when you feel that, even for a split second, it's probably the worst feeling in the world.
It's yeah.
And it's so if you can imagine someone like that, like him feeling that for a prolonged period of time, you can understand what might have been going through his mind and why that happened the way it did. And it's sad because we'll never understand, but it's like, like we're all saying, it's a massive tragedy. You just can't get over it. So overall between these two, between Tagliabue and Nealon, it's a sad week for football. But
Yeah.
but we, like I said, sports at the beginning of this, sports has the power to heal. And at the end of the day, what happened when sports stopped, when 9/11 happened, sports was the first thing to come back. Sports was the first, and it made people for even a split second feel like things were going to be okay. And after this week, hopefully at the end of the day we get some closure to it. But then sports once again has that power to heal, and that's why we're here. That's why we're able to talk to each other, we're able to talk out things. And honestly, despite the tragedy, you gotta look forward to the bright side of things. So that's what we do moving forward.
A couple things to finish off. A couple of my biggest things for people who number one, people who are going through tough depression. This is going to sound so weird, but this is actually my biggest recommendation. Well, there's two. One of the signs is they stop doing the things they love to do. And I remember sleeping for 20 hours, watching a movie and then sleeping again. I just didn't have any energy and stuff like that, So it's that's a huge thing. But the two biggest things for other people, no, that's the biggest sign. But one is continue doing the things you like to do, even though it's hard. Do you know how freaking hard it was for me to even watch football those years? It was hard, man. It was hard. I tried. It was hard because your brain's just spinning while trying to watch the game. It's hard, but you just keep doing it. And then second thing, actually started a lot later during COVID. This is not necessarily one size fits all, but it kind of is. It's going to sound weird. Play video games. I'm not kidding. Not necessarily Call of Duty or any of the multiplayer stuff, but a lot of the single player games, the story elements and stuff, you can just kind of throw yourself into. I remember a YouTuber worked at IGN for a long time, was a writer for God of War Ragnarok. Alana Pierce. God of War Ragnarok? Do you not know about God of War?
No. Remember, Scoops pop culture stuff.
This is not okay, man.
I genuinely thought that was in another language. I heard God of War Ragnarok. I thought that was some European language.
No. God of War Ragnarok. I haven't beat the first God of War yet. I need to. Anyway, great game.
God of War Ragnarok?
Ragnarok. It's the second game.
Is that a Pokemon?
No, it's a video game.
Okay.
Ragnarok is Norse mythology.
Yeah, that's the perfect person to ask right there.
Okay, I'll look it up later if I can figure out how to spell it.
Look up God of War 2018. I think is the first game. It's great. I need to beat it. Anyway, so basically, I would recommend looking up her YouTube channel and her stuff with depression because she was really depressed and she was playing The Witness, which is this really difficult puzzle game. I tried it; it's very hard, but it helped her. I'm not joking. Video games really help. And then the last kind of question for the group that I have with this before we get on to one more thing to finish off the night. Kevin Clark, his father passed away a couple weeks ago, the ESPN commentator. And he had Jim Nantz on his podcast. That's Football podcast. And they started by talking about his dad. And there was something that really hit me that I haven't yet experienced. And I wonder if you guys have it in some way, shape, or form. He was like, whenever like something happened in like an NFL game or something, or just something in life, he's like, I want to call my dad, but I realize I can't. Have you guys? I figure, Brandon, you've had that experience often, even nowadays. But it's like,
I still do.
Do you guys want to talk about that, Brandon? Do you want to talk about that anyway? Like it's kind of, it's like they're still with you in a way.
Yeah, like that's why now when you're little and you watch sports and your team loses, you cry. And you're a young kid, you don't know any better. When you're older, you get mad about it, obviously. But so, when my dad had passed, it was March 2017. So quite literally 11 months later, the Eagles won the Super Bowl. And the one thing I thought of, because he hadn't seen it in his lifetime, and he always made fun. He was like, because my dad was a Giants fan, so funny as that works. It was funny because the first thing I thought of as we won that game, I was like, I'm pretty sure my dad let me have that one. I'm convinced that dad let me have that one. But I did think about, we had a Super Bowl party for that game. And also, Eagles have made 3 Super Bowls. 2 of them have had a Super Bowl party. They've won both of them. I need to have a Super Bowl party every time the Eagles make a Super Bowl, because that's the only way they're going to win the game.
Invite me next time.
Yeah, listen, everybody's invited. Shit. But when it comes to that, like there's times where it's hard, not just for football stuff. Like, I mean, man, when the Eagles beat the Giants, I still am like, oh yeah, I can't wait to tell Dad, hey, you guys suck. Because my dad and I used to give each other crap over that, but it's funny because I still do it. Like, I'll still kind of like, look up and be like, hey, Dad, guess what? You guys still suck. Yeah, 8 years later,
hey, Dad, guess what? Your coach got fired this morning.
Oh, my dad's throwing a party up there. I know it right now.
We got Saquon.
What's funny? When he signed in Philadelphia, I was like, yeah, thanks, Dad.
But he's looking down at Joe Shane going, you're not joining me.
Yeah. Oh shit! If my dad doesn't pull up there, he's sending him straight to hell. But it's funny because my dad was also a Mets fan, so yeah, Yankees Mets was also a big deal for us. So because remember, I was raised more so by my grandparents, my grandfather. My grandfather raised me as an Eagles Yankees fan. So
yeah, I knew that, but I don't know. It's just some of this is still like
It's weird. I know it's weird. But it's also a thing where it's like, it's not just sports related, but it's also times where it's like, it's another thing too. And I think I've told you guys this, but I'll say it again so everybody can hear it. That the last time I saw my father was on my birthday when I turned 17. It's the last time I saw my dad. And because literally a month goes by, and 2 weeks before, so in March, 2 weeks before his 42nd birthday, he dies. So the last time I saw him, wasn't the last time I spoke to him on the phone, but the last time I saw him, and I still keep the picture on my desk, like on the top of my desk, my wall unit, whatever the hell you want to call this thing, is the picture of me and him on my birthday when I turned 17. And you think about the birthdays that like he missed my 18th, like the milestones. Not missed. I mean, I know he saw it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
In person, but not there for my 18th, not there for my high school graduation, not there for me to get my license. that was one thing we were going to work on that week before he passed. Not there, not there for me to turn 21. My college graduation, turning 25, quarter life. Um, those things, you know, it's been how many Christmases now without my father? My dad would be the first person to see me on Christmas. I would wake up Christmas morning. My grandparents would wake me up, and then my dad would literally call me right after 7 o'clock in the morning. Hey, buddy, I'm coming to see you. And I would literally, I still do it. I would literally look outside the window, and I would see his car pull up, and I would be so excited. I literally would run from my couch, open the front door, and that's why as I've gotten older, I used to remember I used to ask my dad for so many. As a kid, you ask your parents for so many gifts.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned as I've gotten older, and especially without having him here, but now having my mom, my sister, my uncle, my aunt, my two little cousins, my grandparents, even my dogs. I look at it now and I'm like, I just want my family here on the holidays because I already don't have one. And I think the hardest part is that it doesn't leave. Like, it's you pretty much. Yeah, I still wake up as a 25-year-old man, and because if my dad were alive today, he'd only be 50. He would have turned 50 this year. I still wake up and I'm like, if my dad was still alive and obviously had his own place still, I could drive to go see my dad every weekend. I can go hang out with my dad whenever I wanted to. Like, I would still be able to do all that. And at 25, it still hits me like I was 17 all over again. It's every Christmas, every birthday, every Eagles Giants game at this point. Yankees Mets, my dad would take me to Devils games. So like when I go to a Devils game, it doesn't feel right. Even if I'm taking some friends of mine or if my mom's going with me, I don't, it still feels like something's missing because my dad would take me to games for my birthday growing up for Devils games. So it's just, it's definitely tough. So when people don't, and I remember when I lost my dad, none of my friends had lost anybody in their families yet, period, or at least not like immediate family. And I'll never forget my closest friend, my longest friend, had said to me. I know I'm getting long-winded, but my closest friend had said to me, right after my dad passed, he's like, I can't. He's like, I empathize with you, but I wish I could relate to you more. I don't understand what you're going through. And I said, and he was one of the people that actually talked to my dad. He and my dad, knew each other, and everybody that knew my dad was, and so they knew how bad it hit me. And what's weird is that like literally a year and a half later, my friend, that same friend, loses his father figure. Well, he had his dad. He still has his dad, but lost his other father figure in his uncle. And so he literally texted me that day. He's like, I finally understand what you went through and what you're still going through. And I said, yeah. I said, when you lose something, and this is why I was talking about the whole untimely, death thing, like with the whole kneeling thing and, mental health stuff and how people go early to those kind of things. My dad was young when he passed. His uncle was on the younger side when he passed, like somewhere I think in like his 50s. Like, and it was all untimely things. Like my dad was a freak accident, and his uncle was, I forget exactly what it was, but it was something just out of nowhere that had happened, and it's something that you just do not get over. Like, it's one thing when you grow up and you get to be 30, 40, 50 years old and your parents are getting older, so you can kind of, in a way, start to prepare yourself for what's coming. But when it's like that, you can't prepare yourself for that. So it's definitely tough. So when we hear the whole thing with Kevin Clark and stuff like that, it's like it just hits different. And as someone who understands that, it's definitely, it's tough. But then this is why I always tell people, and I've told you guys too, like, you don't know when someone might go. So when you do lose somebody, or not even A, treat everybody with kindness. B, hug your family and friends closer and tighter and tell them how much they mean to you. And because you want to be able to say that before it's too late.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the most important thing.
Yeah. All right. In some more positive thing, Scoop wanted us to discuss this, and I agreed. Was Alex Singleton? He had a random drug test by the NFL a couple days ago or 2 weeks ago. It says here, and then they realized he had a testicular cancer,
Mm-hmm.
and he got the tumor removed, and he's going to be doing all right, thankfully. But Scoop, I know you wanted to discuss this, so I'm going to give you the floor to discuss Singleton before we go.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, you guys know the Singleton's backstory. He had spent some time with the Denver Broncos, and excuse me, sorry, he played for. I mean, he's jumped around a little bit. He started with Seattle after being an undrafted free agent. Was with the Patriots a little bit, Vikings, and of course the Eagles for the longest period. But when this came out, and I just saw this, it may have even been earlier today. I've lost track, but um, he had the surgery 4 days ago after being diagnosed or like you said, a random drug test. Diagnosed that he had testicular cancer. He had the surgery on 4 days ago.
They
But
caught it really early, thank God.
yeah, thank God. But just honestly, just much respect to the NFL and to the different doctors and the people who do these things, because this actually made me think of a similar story where something like this happened. Brandon will probably remember this. Maybe all of y'all will. But a few years ago, the Eagles made a trade with the New Orleans Saints, and we traded snapper John Dornbos to the
Mm-hmm.
Saints.
Yeah.
And which, I mean, I was a huge fan of his, so it mattered to me for that. But in theory, is pretty inconsequential trade. The trade and the physical that he had to have for the trade revealed that he had a heart condition that he would not have made it if they. Literally, the doctor called him and said, "I don't know how to tell you this, but you're never playing football again, and you need emergency heart surgery." And
Yeah. I remember
like,
when Karis LeVert, one of the really good NBA
That's where I was
players,
going.
yeah,
Brooklyn,
he got traded. Yeah,
yep.
was it Brooklyn trade?
Brooklyn,
Yeah,
Brooklyn's in
Brooklyn
the
traded him to the
Yeah.
Cavaliers, I
Yeah.
think it was.
Yeah, and
Pacers.
then Pacers,
Pacers.
yeah, and they told him like, "Hey, you got cancer." So, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
And he's
I'm
healthy
really
now,
grateful.
thank God.
I'm
yeah.
Yeah, I'm really grateful that Singleton, is got his operation done and that it was found as early as it was, and look forward to rooting for him in life, obviously first and foremost, and then back on the field when he's able to be. But just it's just crazy the way that first and foremost, it's crazy how these things can pop up when you have absolutely no way to expect that they're going to, or to have any inkling that they're going to. But moreover, extremely grateful that we have the capability now where those things can be picked up on in sometimes the most unexpected of ways by because John Dorbus doesn't get traded, who knows, and Alex Singleton, all this stuff. So I just wanted to say that that definitely caught my attention. I thought they warranted bringing up because obviously that's something that's not. There's certain things that people look at and they think, well, I'm not going to play football, so that's not going to be something I'm like with CTE or concussions or whatever. That shit's something that can happen to anybody. That shit's
Yeah.
not that's not going to happen to you differently because you played football or didn't or whatever. Like that shit can happen to any person at any age. And so I wanted to mention that, and I'm like I said, I'm just super grateful that that seems to be going in a more positive direction. I can't imagine how fucking terrifying. I'm sorry, but I just can't imagine how terrifying that situation is/was. And so thanks for letting me bring that up, because
Yeah,
or,
yeah,
or rather for you introducing that, because I think in the what's been obviously one of the heavier weeks in football that we've had in recent memory, I definitely think that's something that also deserves its recognition, I guess is the best word I could
yeah,
use.
yeah. It's a positive and a sad one for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And um, I get guys get your health checked, and
yeah,
keep yourself um, you know, keep your tabs on your own self. And it never is going to hurt you to get checked the way that it might hurt you to not.
yeah, yeah. NFL Crucial Catch has done a good job on that. Also, we'll probably talk more about Veterans Day on Thursday, but obviously
Right.
Veterans Day tomorrow. We'll talk about that more on Thursday. But yeah, thank you to all the veterans out there. Hope you all have a great Tuesday.
Absolutely.
With that.
Yeah.
But in football related news, when we're here on Thursday, we'll talk about Hacksaw Ridge, which is a great movie. We were going to do it today,
Yeah.
but we moved it to Thursday, and we'll talk more about the movie than the game because it's Patriots Jets, my
No,
friends. So,
Jesus.
oh God. So yeah, that's gonna be
Rob, just can I get that 10 seconds I asked you about
yeah,
before?
yeah. What do you need? Yeah.
Well, I told you I just wanted to just recognize my family friend.
Oh yes, please go. Yes, please go.
Yeah.
My
So,
apologies.
family friends of ours who I know watch the show periodically. Longtime family friends, Dr. Londorf and Dr. Graber, and people who have worked with my mom for a while, people I've known for a while. Unfortunately, Dr. Londorf, another one, unfortunately, who passed away 2 days ago to a combination of cancer and COVID. He was
Man.
a very young man, but also somebody who supported my mom and I a lot. Somebody who was super involved, whether it was following the sports shows that I've done, whether it was following something as lighthearted and silly as my Sipping with Scoops coffee page on social media,
Which,
and
by the
somebody
way,
who,
is an amazing page. Please go
thank
follow it.
you, and somebody who, when after I had multiple accidents, somebody who really helped take care of me in his firm as a an acupuncturist. So, Dr. Londorf, we'll miss you. We already do, and just sending my love and prayers out to Dr. Graber, one of the just kindest and most just genuine souls I've ever met. So,
Yeah.
just because they really follow me/us a lot in a lot of the stuff that that happens in the podcast and such. So I just wanted to take a moment to just recognize her and to recognize him in particular.
Yeah, absolutely. Great tribute there. And I think that's a good way to finish off. Well, thank you, Brandon Scoop, and Shane for your kind words for everything today. Because I know
Yeah,
it's really tough to do a show like this with
absolutely. But
everything that's
I
going on.
also think that if you're going to have to do a tough show like this, I don't think you could ask for a better group to have around you doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you guys for your words. Again, we'll have a more positive show on Thursday. We'll obviously honor our veterans on Thursday while also doing Hacksaw Ridge. So it's a good way to honor them as
Yeah.
well. So yeah, so we'll see you all on Thursday. Peace out, everybody.
Take care, y'all.
See ya.